So, you know how the crypto world just keeps throwing new things at us?
Oh,
Nonstop.
absolutely. It never sleeps.
But lately, there seems to be a real buzz around one specific Cardano native token. We're talking SNEK.
Ah, SNEK. Yes.
Uh,
Definitely hearing a lot about it.
Now, you probably know the basics, right? Meme token, Cardano, fair launch, community's huge,
Right.
that
Yeah.
stuff.
The fundamentals.
But this deep dive, we're not just going to rehash all that. We've got some good info here, including a pretty detailed report.
Hmm.
And our mission really is to figure out what SNEK's actually achieved recently and maybe get a sense of where it could be going next.
Exactly. We're skipping the Crypto 101 today.
Oh,
The material we've reviewed suggests it's moved past just being a funny internet thing.
okay, good. So let's get right into it. The recent accomplishments, because there have been some pretty big moves.
Definitely.
First off, April 2025, the Kraken listing. I mean, that feels like a really major step.
It absolutely is. Getting listed on a tier 1 exchange like
Okay.
Kraken, that's not just a small win. And what's really key here is the reach it gives them. Kraken's got, what, around 10 million users?
Wow, yeah.
That's a massive potential audience increase.
Yeah.
Suddenly, SNEK is way more accessible to a much broader, more mainstream group.
Right.
And beyond just, the price may be jumping, this listing kind of signals a potential change in how these big exchanges look at, well, established community meme tokens on chains like Cardano.
Interesting point. Like more acceptance.
Yeah, potentially. It might suggest they're seen as more legitimate parts of the crypto world now, which could maybe open doors for other Cardano projects too.
And this wasn't just something that happened quietly, was it? The report really stresses the community's part in this.
Oh, absolutely. All the campaigning, the constant listening messages everywhere. It seems Kraken actually pointed to that strong community support as like a real reason behind their decision.
That's pretty cool. It shows the power of the community.
Precisely. It really does. And you saw the immediate effect. The sources mention a price bump over 15% right after the announcement.
Yeah, I saw that. And volume, too.
And a big jump in trading volume. So it wasn't just talk. It had real market impact. And looking across Cardano, this Kraken listing is actually historic.
How so?
It's the first Cardano native token to get listed on such a major Tier 1 platform, a genuine first.
Okay, wow. That's big. So moving from that listing, there was another development that kind of shows SNEK doing more than just being a token. The SNEK Fun Launchpad. That was back in September 2024.
Yes, SNEK.
Yeah.
Fun. And you're right, this is a major step towards SNEK being, well, more of an ecosystem builder, not just a coin.
Ecosystem builder. Okay.
The numbers around the launch were honestly kind of wild. 20,000 users jumping in within the first 10 seconds.
10 seconds. Seriously.
Yeah. That kind of demand actually caused a temporary slowdown on the Cardano chain itself.
Whoa.
Which really gives you an idea of just how massive the interest was.
Sounds like chaos, but good chaos, maybe. And the way they launched it using a bonding curve sale, that's meant to be fair, isn't it?
Exactly. It's a mechanism designed for more equitable distribution. Tries to stop, huge players from grabbing everything right at the start.
Levels the playing field a bit for you, the user.
Right. And what's also interesting is just how many projects used it right away. Over 50 meme tokens launched via SNEK. Fun in just the first week.
50? In a week.
50. So this really positions SNEK less as just a meme and more as a platform helping the whole Cardano meme coin scene grow.
Huh. Makes you wonder if it's becoming the place for Cardano meme launches.
It certainly seems to be trending that way.
And it's not just digital stuff either. There's the SNEK energy drink Blue Citrus. Came out in 2023, but the sources say it's still going, even popping up in some actual shops.
Yeah, the energy drink. That's quite unique, isn't it?
Definitely unexpected for a crypto project. A meme you can drink.
It is. It takes it beyond the blockchain into like actual physical consumer goods, and the branding is clever.
Born on Cardano, heading everywhere.
Exactly. That slogan really nails the ambition to reach outside the usual crypto crowd. And the community really runs with it, sharing photos with the drink.
Free marketing, basically.
Pretty much. It builds brand recognition, engages a wider audience, people who might not even know much about crypto. It's kind of surreal, really.
A digital meme becoming a physical product. Wild.
Shows how unpredictable these community projects can be.
Okay, so those are some pretty solid recent achievements. Let's switch gears a bit. Put on our speculation hats.
Well, where could it go?
Based on all this, where might SNEK be headed? Let's start with SNEK. Fun. It blew up quickly. What's its potential looking forward?
Well, given that initial rush and the number of launches, SNEK could become a really vital piece of Cardano's infrastructure, actually.
Infrastructure, interesting.
Yeah, like looking at the whole Cardano scene, it could potentially become the main hub for new experimental, particularly meme-focused projects, attracting creators, attracting users.
So, could it almost become its own engine for growth within Cardano, separate from the SNEK token itself?
That's a really interesting question. It's possible. It could develop its own momentum.
And then there's this ecosystem fund mentioned. Sounds like it's meant to invest in and help new Cardano projects, especially ones that use or boost the SNEK ecosystem.
Right. An ecosystem fund like that signals a real commitment to the long haul, the desire to encourage innovation around the SNEK brand itself.
Feels like a long-term play.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And thinking about Cardano more broadly, it could act almost like a community-run VC fund.
Providing seed money or grants.
Exactly. Early-stage funding, support. It makes you wonder, could this fund lead to some really surprising, valuable new utilities popping up in the SNEK world that we can't even picture right now?
Possibility space is wide open there. And we shouldn't forget the SNEKies NFTs.
Ah, yes, the SNEKies.
They're described as crypto mining reward passes. That's already a pretty unique use case for an NFT.
It really is. They've built a direct function into it. It's not just art. It's a way to, potentially earn crypto.
And they sold out, right? And people are trading them on jpg.store.
Sold out. And yeah, active trading on jpg.store. So there's clear interest and a secondary market.
Huh?
This kind of makes you ask, could we see more projects using NFTs like this as access keys or ways to get returns within their ecosystem?
It's a neat model. Now, one thing that keeps coming up in the material is how SNEK's development isn't really top-down. It's organic, community-driven.
Very much so.
We saw things like the SNEK bot, the SNEK's token mentor. Those came from the community itself.
Right. Good examples. Driven by enthusiasm.
So that suggests future developments are kind of unpredictable. It depends on what the community comes up with.
Exactly. And that lack of a rigid roadmap can be, well, both a strength and maybe a challenge.
How so?
Strength because innovation can come from anywhere. Challenge because, well, is it sustainable long-term without some central direction? Can it keep up?
Good point. But the examples so far do show that a motivated community can really build things.
Oh, definitely. The next big utility for SNEK could literally emerge from some random user's idea, which is exciting, but also raises questions about long-term strategic direction, maybe.
Okay. And thinking about Kraken, that listing was huge. Does it feel natural to think maybe other big exchanges could follow?
The Kraken listing definitely sets a precedent. It proves SNEK can meet the, pretty strict standards of a major exchange.
Checks a big box.
Right. So if you look at Cardano overall, if SNEK keeps up strong trading volume, keeps growing its user base, keeps seeing development in its ecosystem, yeah, it could absolutely become attractive to other big platforms.
Makes sense. And finally, circling back to the physical world, the energy drink, could we see more SNEK merch, more real-world branding?
That energy drink was definitely a bold move, unexpected.
Yeah.
And its success does seem to open the door for more. What's interesting is the potential to reach people who aren't even crypto natives.
Right, tapping into broader consumer markets.
Exactly. So it makes you wonder, what else fits the SNEK vibe? Playful, community-centric. What other merchandise or maybe even brand partnerships could work?
Lots to think about there. Okay, before we wrap this up, just for anyone listening who maybe isn't totally familiar with SNEK, let's do a super quick recap of what it actually is, just the core idea.
Sure. Quick version. Think of it as a digital token, kind of like a collectible or currency built on the Cardano blockchain.
And the theme is a snake.
SNEK, right. It launched back in April 2023. Importantly, it was a fair launch, so the team didn't keep a chunk of tokens for themselves.
That's key for community trust.
Absolutely. And it's deflationary, meaning the total supply decreases over time through token burns. Started around 76.7 billion. Now it's roughly 74.5 billion circulating.
Got it. And its position in Cardano.
It's grown to be the biggest Cardano native token by market cap and also by trading volume. The community is seriously strong, over 41,000 addresses holding it on chain, and tons of activity, over 2.6 million transactions recorded. Key names you hear involved are Goofy Crisp, Masterov C, JSI Schwai. But again, a lot of the development is community-led.
Yeah.
The SNEK game was an early example of that.
Okay, great quick overview. So pulling it all together, it's pretty clear SNEK has traveled a long way from just being a meme.
Definitely. That Kraken listing feels like a major validation. And things like SNEK, Fund, and the Ecosystem Fund suggest, well, bigger plans.
Yeah, it feels like a project with real ambition now.
Exactly. What started as maybe a bit of fun has turned into a pretty significant player in the Cardano world. It's got real-world reach now with the drink, and it's nurturing this really vibrant, creative community.
That Kraken listing really does feel like a marker of mainstream acceptance, doesn't it?
It does, a new level.
It really gets you thinking, doesn't it,
Oh,
about the power of these community-first projects in crypto. What SNEK keeps building might actually offer some useful lessons for, the whole Cardano ecosystem, maybe even beyond.
it'll be fascinating to watch where it goes next, for sure.
Absolutely. And for those of you listening who want to dig in more, all the sources we looked at are available for you to check out. And we definitely suggest exploring the Snake community itself. Sounds like it's quite the lively place.